Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Hall of Famer Bob Berry ruled Milwaukee's airwaves in the 60s and 70s. He spoke with countless musicians and celebrities over the years. Bob collected remarkable recordings of these encounters, which he's now sharing with the public. Here's Bob.
Tom T. Hall wrote 12 number one hit songs, including a number one pop crossover hit, Harper Valley PTA. That won a Grammy, a CMA Award, and inspired a movie and a TV program of the same name. Even though Harper Valley PTA sold in the millions, Tom made only about $90,000. He had other hits you might remember, including I Love and The Year Clayton Delaney Died.
I remember the year that Clayton Delaney died.
Tom was born in Kentucky and organized a band called the Kentucky Travelers. He enlisted in the Army, and while performing in Germany, he wrote songs about his experiences. He also worked as a disc jockey for a few years, but don't hold that against him. Tom wrote a few songs for Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, George Jones, and Alan Jackson. He wrote a song for Johnny Wright, Hello, Vietnam, that was used in the war movie Full Metal Jacket.
Kiss me goodbye and write me while I'm gone. Goodbye, my sweetheart, hello, Vietnam.
Morning, Tom T. Hall called us. Thank you very much, Tom. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is early in the morning, and country stars aren't used to getting up this early, right?
Well, I usually get up pretty early in the morning because I write most of my songs early in the morning, so it's not early for me, but it's 8:30 down here.
Tom is one of the most successful songwriters in the business today. He has written a book, How I Write Songs and Why You Can. He, of course, has many successful records, Faster Horses, The Cowboy and the Poet, and I Love, The Year Clayton Delaney Died, and his latest, Fox on the Run, which looks like it's going to be another big one for you, Tom. How do you do it? How do you keep on turning out these hits?
I get up early in the morning. I'm a kind of a morning person, and of course I live on a little farm outside of Nashville, where I am now. I don't know, I get out and stroll around in the country and write songs. I have a little studio where I can tape them, and so I'm pretty well organized as a songwriter, and I love music, and I listen to it, and of course I perform too and write, and it's just something I always wanted to be, was a songwriter, and so it comes kind of natural to me, really.
Christofferson says of Tom Hall, every time he comes out with a song, I say, that's the one I was going to write. That's got to be a pretty good feeling for you when guys like that.
Well, it is. Chris is a great songwriter because he's, I think, better known as an actor now. He's written some fantastic songs. And Chris and I, when Chris was first getting started, and he was a bartender and a carpenter here in Nashville, we spent quite a bit of time together visiting around, talking to one another. So I think he says that a lot out of friendship as much as he does, professional appreciation, I think.
Tom, what makes a song country, pop, or anything else? What can we really distinguish?
Well, I don't know. That's probably one of the biggest questions in the business, especially today. People hear songs and they don't know exactly what they're listening to. But I'd be inclined to say it's the arrangement. If Christofferson is the fellow who said, if it sounds country, it's country. So I think that's about the best description of it. People have to decide for themselves what country is, and if it sounds country to them, it's country.
How do you select the song subject? You've got all kinds of subjects here in your songs, and everyone tells a story, and a great story. How do you come up with these ideas?
Well, what I try to do is I try to find some little irony in life, or some little, mainly a universal thought. Now, you take, for instance, the song I Love. It's a universal thought because that's something people all over the world do. When you take The Year Clayton Delaney Died, I think when we were all young, we had someone that we admired. We had a hero, so that is a song about heroes. People all over the world have heroes. So I think I look for a universal thought, and then I look for some sort of irony, and, of course, a good story to go with it. But I think any person that's a good storyteller who likes to talk to other people and tell stories, I think they'd make good songwriters.
I wonder if you got the idea for the song is driving me crazy the same way I would have. I'll wake up in the morning and a song will keep going through my head. Apparently it's something I'd heard, something I played the day before maybe, and that same song
just keeps on going through my head, and I say, geez, it's driving me crazy. I got to get that out of my mind.
That's right. I had a fellow on the bus. His name was Gator Ray, a steel guitar player. Now, he was the worst in the world at that. He would get a song on his mind, and he would walk around slapping himself, trying to get that song off his mind, because he'd hum it for 3 days. He'd hum it in his sleep, and he'd wake up, and it'd still be on his mind. So I got the idea for the song from him, but I've done that myself. Just find something and just hum it for 3 days.
How do you handle rhyming?
Oh, yeah, well, I use a lot of what they call false rhymes. You know, I don't always have a true rhyme, like I don't rhyme more and door or cow and now. Sometimes I use kind of a false rhyme. And at one place in I Love, this thing didn't even rhyme. I just, at the end of the line, I threw in onion. It didn't rhyme with anything, but I don't think, I use a lot of false rhymes in my song.
Where do you live, Tom? Do you live in Nashville?
I live in a suburb of Nashville, between Nashville and Franklin, Tennessee. Outside of Nashville, before you get to Franklin, I have a 58-acre farm, and I have some chickens and goats and horses and dogs, and you know, I get up in the morning and feed the birds and all that sort of thing. So it's an ideal setting for a writer. Really, I have a great circumstance here.
Did you have to play your share of all those, you know, the grubby bars and things like that?
Well, yeah, I did. I worked everywhere. I started off, first job I ever had was working in a garment factory, and then, as you know, I worked in a cemetery for a while. Then when I got to picking and singing, I worked in little honky-tonks, square dances, beer joints, shopping centers. The thing of it is, I didn't think at the time that I was struggling. A lot of people ask me if I struggled, and I don't feel that I did, because I enjoyed doing those kind of things. There's a lot of great entertainers right now who are working in little clubs and bars and cocktail lounges and places of that sort. So, you know, you have to start somewhere, and that's as good a place as any. If you can get people to listen to you, that's the important thing.
Were you influenced by any country stars at all?
No, I don't believe so, because I didn't have, I didn't start out to be an entertainer. I started out to be a writer. In fact, the first 4 years I was in Nashville, I refused to record. I just wanted to be a songwriter. So, you know, I wasn't thinking about singing, but I guess I did have one influence as far as that goes. When I was a child, it was Clayton Delaney, you know, whom I wrote a song about.
Right. Oh, I see. There really was a Clayton Delaney then.
Oh, yeah, he was a real person, and he was, you know, my inspiration when I was a kid trying to get started because I was interested in music. But I'd never thought of myself as a singer. I always thought of myself as a songwriter, so therefore I wasn't influenced by any of the singing people. I don't know that I probably was influenced by a lot of writers like Hank Williams and Don Gibson and Bill Anderson and Harlan Howard and a lot of those great songwriters. But singers, I wasn't influenced by any of them because I didn't consider myself a singer.
Thanks a lot for talking to us, Tom.
Okay, Bob.
Bob Berry.
Thank you for listening to Bob Berry's Unearthed Interviews. Be sure to subscribe and rate our podcast on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find all the episodes at WisconsinBroadcastingMuseum.org. Check out Bob Berry's book, Rock and Roll Radio Milwaukee. Book sale proceeds support Angels Kids Fund and Donate Life Wisconsin. The preceding program was made possible by a generous contribution from Terry Vaughn.